On a side note, notice that I think my bangs have begun to grow out.
Yeah, you look great.
Looking good.
I wouldn't go that
You
far,
guys notice-
Tabitha.
you
Don't
guys see
lie
that
on
I
the
have a
eve of your
bag?
birthday. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Eve Tabs.
Happy birthday, Eve, Tabitha.
Thank you.
Tabitha.
Thank
Birthday, Eve. Happy birthday. Okay.
Hello and welcome to Table for Five with No Reservations. Take a seat at the table for a fresh, sweet, salty tart, and pleasantly bitter conversation.
Thank you for taking a seat at the table. Tonight we're on episode 3 of our love series. And tonight we have Jamie,
Hello.
Tabitha,
Hello.
Rachel,
Hey, everybody.
Jen,
Hello.
and I'm Kim McIsaac. And we're going to be talking about love the woman you are, not the woman you're supposed to be. I think there's a lot of pressures put on moms and women, and especially special needs moms. And it's kind of like one of those things that, you know, there's this image of what everybody thinks they're going to be as a mom or what people think moms are. And then there's reality, and those things don't always mesh together. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Kimmy and Jamie, I would think for you two ladies, because you have your feet in two different worlds. You have it in a special needs world, and then you have your neurotypical children. So I think I've always thought the parenting is obviously different. Everything you experience is different on both sides of that.
Yeah, no,
Same
it
for
is.
being, I mean, a woman being a mom, you know what I mean? Like it's all kind of jumbled.
Yeah, and then it's like you have, I don't know, Jamie, you feel like this, but then Amelie's a lot younger than my girls, but then it's like you are trying to live up to kind of making up for a lot of the craziness and chaos that the kids go through in the house. So you kind of, like, I kind of threw myself into them doing activities. I mean, Kara did everything you could think of at the same time. Dance, cheerleading, drama. I mean, we went from this to that to this to that because I was trying so hard to like normalize their life and give them all these experiences despite the craziness that, you know, could be happening here. And then I feel like it's a different type of pressure, but then it's like you're trying to be like that mom and give them that experience, but like at the same time, that's not really that's not what your life is. So it's like it's really hard to, you try really hard to do it because you want to give them those experiences, and you go through a lot of stuff. You go through, like, you know, not everybody being able to go to stuff, and people being, you know, having to split the family at different times. And I just think that's really hard. I mean, we worked really hard to like include Alyssa and bring her, but it took also a long time to get to that point. So it's a different type of pressure you have, because it's kind of like with Alyssa, I lost out on a lot of the, you know, the things you thought you were gonna have and do. And then I have these two other girls who I can, you know, kind of get to have those experiences with. And it's very healing, and it does fill a void. One child doesn't make up for another. Like, it just doesn't work that way. I still am sad that Alyssa can't have experiences and do things, but I'm able to enjoy those things with my other children. You know, I'm able to take them to get their license and do the prom thing. And, you know, Kira graduated high school. So it's, you know, she was a competitive dancer. Like, I got to have all those things with her, you know, that Alyssa isn't able to have. I think it makes a big difference on how you adjust to this life too. You know,
Yeah.
some people may not agree with that. And it's just, there's so much guilt. I just feel like you're just immersed in guilt no matter what with.
That's what I mean. I think you mom, like you've got, you don't, I can't speak. I don't have a neurotypical child. So I don't know if you necessarily mom differently, but it's just a different experience, right? The mom you thought you would be, you get to be with your, and I'm, again, ladies, I'm not speaking for you, but we're talking about the women we thought we'd be, should be, would be, would have
But the
been,
thing
whatever.
is,
You get to be that
I-
mom with that child, but you don't. Does that make sense, or is that not accurate?
but it's like it is, but you don't, because you still have the special needs child. You still have
Right.
their needs taking away from the other children. Like, my kids could never have people come to the house. Autism also wasn't as
Right.
well known then. So like,
Right.
people didn't know what it was. And she was unpredictable. She could be volatile. She could be
Absolutely.
not have clothes on. She could just, even if it's just screaming, it's things that would like scare people because they don't know. Now I feel like there's a little more stuff about that, but like, and that affects them. It affects them now. I can see it. You know, they never really got to have those friendships, those typical play dates and stuff like that, because it just couldn't work. So it's like, you do try, and I mean, I'm grateful for the experiences that I had with my typical children, but also feel like there are a lot of things that they weren't able to do and they couldn't do, and they weren't able to experience because of having a person in the house with a disability. And it's not anybody's fault. It's what, I mean, she had stages where
What
she
it
was
is.
aggressive. I mean, I couldn't have people at the house and she could, we couldn't do it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, even putting Alyssa in the car sometimes, going back and forth, like I couldn't be dropping the kids off and then going back and coming to get them. That's just so much. So I'm very grateful that I have the two girls, so it's like they always had each other, but you do get those experiences, but it's to a point because, you know what I mean? They're missing out, or like Alyssa's not fully getting what she needs. You know what I mean? And then you feel bad about that. So I don't know, it's just really hard. And then with my oldest, I think I have the most guilt because he was there for the hardest part of it. He was already born when all this stuff came up. Like the girls came and this was already their life. So like it was always what was.
A couple of episodes ago, Kim, you said Alyssa allowed them to stay.
Yeah, she did. But with him, and he was little and she was really aggressive, and I'd have to have him go downstairs or go in the other room. Like it was just
to be safe.
It's really hard. The guilt is really hard. Like I still feel guilty about it, and he's gonna be 30 years old, for crying out loud. I still feel bad. It's just triple the guilt is like, I think what it comes down to.
And I think for me, obviously my daughter is a lot younger. She's only 3. And my son is young. And also we had COVID in the middle there. So it's not like we've been able to, but I kind of have done the same thing as Kimmy, where it's like she's already done gymnastics, she's in soccer. I don't feel like I'm making up for anything. I feel like I wanted to do this with Jesse and we attempted to, it just didn't work out. But I think as a mom, there's a lot of different perspectives on it, because for you guys who just have special needs children, I think Tabitha said this one, she only has to parent one way. That way is really freaking hard. It's not easier because, by any means, because you have to parent one way, but I do have to balance. And I'm seeing that right now as we're into 3 and my daughter's growing. I'm just in that moment right now where I can already see okay, I need to explain to her why we lay in the bed with Jesse every night and she doesn't get that, or why we do this differently and this differently, and some things she gets to do and he doesn't get to do. So I'm just seeing the baseline of that. And I think also for me, I have one girl and one boy, and not that necessarily you have to have boy experiences and girl experiences, but I'm never going to get those typical raising a boy experiences. Part of me is also that's okay. We get different experiences anyway. But like Kimmy was kind of saying, I don't get to fully be any type of mom. I can't claim to be this perfect, special needs parent, as people call them, because that's not fully where we are. I feel half one world, half in the other world, and I'm not gonna be able to be fully invested in my daughter's stuff either. So it's just it's always going to be this thing where you're torn and trying to figure it out. But I just think in general, having a kid with special needs, and especially us women who are outspoken and advocate a lot, people are oh, that's so cool that you do this. I wish I could talk about this stuff as much as you or do this. And it's well, I feel I have to, and I'm not great at it. I don't love doing it, but I feel I have to for my kid, and I struggle with it all the time. And by no means.
And you do a damn fine job.
Oh, thank you. But the whole crap, God gives special children to special parents or whatever. I'm I think God was just.
Actually, God gives kids to parents and we're all learning.
I wrote a piece about that actually, and I got slaughtered because religion is kind of like politics. You don't talk about it. And I did.
Yeah.
I was please stop telling me. A guy said, because then I went, I'm not religious, and I think it's great, that people take comfort in that. I want to be very clear. I actually have a very religious family. Imagine me going against the grain. But in my piece I wrote, and I'm very honest, I'm and I struggle with the whole God thing. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm my kid suffers every day. Don't tell me there's a lesson in that. Why is she having to take brunt of some lesson I'm supposed to be learning? Where's the these children, there's people starving. I mean, I could go on about it forever. I'm not going to, and I apologize if I offend anyone. Jamie, feel free to cut this. But that's how I kind of go down that path with it, right? So, yeah, Jamie, I'm with you on that.
Well,
literally,
I always say I am a religious person, but I always say I feel that's almost an excuse that people kind of say to you.
That's such a backhanded thing too.
Yeah, I don't have to, not saying that I am asking people to help me by any means, but it's oh, I don't have to invest in you because God obviously gave you this trial because you can handle it. It's shut up. No,
So
like
like
this is hard on anyone.
Mhm.
You aren't born to be a parent of a disabled person. It's something that happens and then you have to figure it out. And there are horrible, horrible people in the world who have children with disabilities and treat them horribly. It's not like some magic thing that only these special angels get children with disabilities. It's you rise up.
But then
I
people
think
say, I
so.
don't know how you do it. You
Well,
don't
that's what I was
have
gonna say. I feel like there's a few key terms, right,
Kid.
that I've heard
Your kid.
over the 25 years that I knew this, or 22. And what is, oh, God gives, you must be special because God only gives special kids to special people. The second is, I don't know how you do it. I could never do it. I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, well, I
Like
didn't
there's
know
a
I had
goddamn
but
choice in the
okay.
matter.
Well, yeah, and it's like, and the other is like putting us on this, on this pedestal, like, oh, you're like a super mom, and it's like none of those things are. I know people mean well. I don't think people mean anything bad by it, obviously, but it's like, what am I supposed to do? She's my child. I love her. I'm gonna do whatever I can for her. You want me to leave her at the fire station because like it's inconveniencing me? Like Jamie said, it's the hand you're dealt with, is what it is, and you make the best of the situation. It's hard. You go through the hard and you make the best of it. But it's like this whole thing. I feel like when people put you up on a pedestal is what's hard, because it's almost like,
The expectation is greater.
yeah, like you're this special person that, can handle this. That's the other one. God doesn't give you anything more than you can handle. I don't know if that's true.
Jesus
I don't know
also
what it-
made wine. So that man knew what
What
he
do
was
you-
doing. Okay. And then we have the crown. So it's fine. It's fine.
Tabitha, what are your feelings on these statements?
I think that expectations for women in this time frame are absolutely freaking ridiculous. I think that because of where we are, because of social media, because of this idea, and I am all for women's lib and we can do anything men can do and all of that. I love that. Let's go for it. It has stretched us so thin, completely thin, in that we can be working moms, we can be mothers who are fighting the good fight, advocates, Pinterest, razzle dazzle, write the perfect blog. Not that everyone chooses to do these things. Make your homemade clothes, make the special Valentines, do the whole gamut of things, because hear me roar, and again, I am 100% for that. But I think it puts an expectation on us to be like everyone else instead of staying in our lane of what we can be successful at. Like I can't do all of those things that everyone can do well. And there's an painted imagery of motherhood and being a woman, that you can be everything and everyone all the time. And that's not realistic. And it makes us feel less than, in my opinion. I've said this many times, that mothering is the best thing in my life, period. It is also the place where I have felt the most failure. That's it. It is. And
Yeah.
not because of my kids and not because of who my kids are, but it's because of an expectation that I can be everything for everyone, and learning to shift that idea that, yes, I'm good at a lot of things. I can write the letters. I can get insurance to pay the things I need them to pay after calling 47 times. I am good at a lot of things. I'm not good at everything, and I can't be good at everything. So I think understanding who I am as a person has helped me put some of those feelings aside, that I can't be everything, and I want to be good at the things that I'm good at. And I know that I can do very specific things for my kids. I will love them to death. I will look at them as if they're magnificent, beautiful human beings that they are, and accept them for who they are. But I will not be Pinteresting the freaking Valentine's the night before Valentine's Day, because I can't
You
do
were
that.
so pissed last night.
I
She
can't do
looked
that.
straight up at me, you guys, and she goes,
There
"They
was
punched the holes, but I have to push this thing through."
there
I
was
buy
frig-
everything, Tabitha.
Yes,
Everything's pre-made,
exactly. And that's
pre-wrapped. The
okay.
pre-wraps go
That's
into the
okay.
bag.
That is okay if you are that mom, because I
If
am a
you are
working
doing
mom.
the Valentines at all, You're winning.
You're
Some people
winning.
don't do
Yes.
them.
But
You're
I
winning.
I really, and I think because of my mindset where I am right now, I feel insecure a lot of the times in a lot of places in my life. And it's not just mothering. I mean, like, there's an expectation that when you hit 40, you're still supposed to be putting on those fancy jeans and getting your face done and throwing the makeup on. And, like, there's just like crazy expectations for women in general. And it's hard to walk away from those expectations of who we are supposed to be as women. Hear me roar. I will say loud and proud, I'm a working mom. I've built my career. I have had to step back from that, and that's been super hard for me, but I can't do everything. And so you have to shift and navigate who you are to change those ideas. So I think it's bullshit.
And
I
work in
totally agree though,
progress.
because I think like
It's real.
how you were saying it's to be like this strong feminist woman, we're supposed to be like taking over. But the thing is, we're not dropping the other things we were doing. So you feel that guilt innately. Like for me, I'm obviously not a working mom. Like I don't have a career. And my
Yes, you
plan
are,
has
Jamie.
always been, well, I work on this, but I'm not a lawyer for sure.
Oh.
Don't ever ask me to be a lawyer. That'd be awful. But like for my end, it's like I always wanted to have a career, but I always planned when my children were little to be at home with them just from being a nanny. And I just wanted to be there when my kids were little for my own reasons. But even now that I'm doing that, I feel guilty that I'm not working. Like I'm somehow letting down all of womanhood because I'm not working and doing this and that. And also like the insane beauty standards now, which are like 10 times worse, I think, with social media, trying to live up this idea, like all this crap. And I'm like, all the time, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to age like they used to in the 50s.
Gracefully.
Okay.
That's what my husband says.
Gracefully is me,
Age
Jamie.
gracefully.
That's
Age
gracefully is me,
I
Jamie.
also sleep like 3 hours a night, so it's gonna be.
I know. I'm like,
I mean,
whatever.
and
Name
guys,
my
there's
wrinkles.
filters now, and there's lights,
Yeah.
sun.
The problem
we
though,
could figure
but I
it out.
think, you mentioned, Tabitha, your career and you stepping back. And for me, you ladies know this year has been a big shift for me in the sense of accepting what I can do. I am not a lawyer. However, I've been in the same career for 30 plus years, and I literally have fundamentally changed. I used to get on a stage and I'd speak for a living in front of hundreds of people. And now I'm not that person anymore. And I've shifted to work from home. I'm not in an office full of people anymore. And I'm really lucky that I work for the guy I work for. But what I did before being a mom in my career to what I'm doing now is just so drastically different,
Mhm.
and not what I thought I would be doing, or, it's just different. But it had to shift. There had to be a mental shift for me, and really my priority. And again, like, I'm so lucky. My boss, if he calls me after like 5 o'clock, he's like, he'll talk for a second, then he'll be like, well, you should get off and you should be with Kaya. I'm like, well, dude, you're the one that called me. You pay my phone, I answer, and but he's very much about that balance, which I'm so fortunate, really fortunate. But a big shift for me. A big shift. This is all I can do. This is all I have left in me.
Well, and I saw this video.
I'm tired.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
You know?
It was like a comedy video or something. I don't know. Maybe it was Jimmy Fallon or one of those. But it was a lady out there on the street, and she went up to all these guys, and she was strictly asking them, how do you do it all? Because that's what we get asked, right? Women get asked that. How do you do it all? And all these men were like, what are you talking about? Because they don't have that expectation of like, do it all. You do it all, and you don't complain about it, and don't be sad about it, and don't be tired, and like,
You just do it. And I'm compulsive. We all know that. And I know, I mean, Band-Aids, gloves, I'm a little compulsive, but Rachel knows I can't do my day without my
Couple
steps
routines.
of what I have to do in the morning. And it's like, I kind of laugh sometimes because I'll leave work and I'm like, I've probably done more in my morning than a lot of people do all day. Like, I'm so compulsive with that stuff. But there's also that, well, who else is gonna do it? Myself. Laundry doesn't fold itself.
What about you, Rachel?
I think that expectations are a bunch of too. I have to
Mhm.
say, I've had a really bad week, and I have just faced like the reckoning of my expectation versus my ability versus my ego versus my hope versus my goals and my actual possibilities. I think that I worked really hard through the course of the last 7 years with C to adjust my sales. In this past year, my family, meaning my husband, Billy, myself, and Celie have worked hard to work together and to get real about what is. And yet I was struggling totally alone. This week, I had to call my dad as a lifeline to make sure that I didn't hurt myself this week. I'm 39 years old. I'm accomplished. I'm spiritual. I'm goal-oriented, I'm flexible. And I had such a different dialogue inside myself about what I should be doing than what I would portray to any of you guys who are asking for help. And it just came crashing down this week. I just can't. Anyways, I'm here to say the goddamn expectations that you have inside your head, not the ones that you tell your friends about, not the ones you pin to your boards, but the ones that are deeper, the ones that the pillowcase feels, those are the bullshits. Those are the deep ones that'll get you. And I want anybody listening to know that it's okay that that voice exists. It's probably in everybody else here. It is not okay when she gets to be an out of control bitch. It is okay to not be okay. It is not okay to be dangerous. And for me, that line happened privately. That slope happened. Even I make eye contact with each and every one of you every single day. And I was able to hide my big struggle from even you. Or maybe I thought I was, and you all knew, but listen, it's been pretty dark over here. And yet I can smile for my daughter. I could try for my husband. I could keep it from you guys. I that voice inside of you where the ego collides with your ability and where all of those things come together could just go to hell because they're actually not there to serve you and it doesn't help you. And I have news. I'm a Pinterest mom because my kid does 394 tasks a day. I'm not a Pinterest mom because I have goals in the morning or color coding or color scheming. I have a closet filled with art supplies because she does that many things in one day. So if someone was to watch my life and judge themselves against me, they'd be like, I don't do what Rachel does. We don't build slime. I don't like glitter. That. I don't have a choice. So you don't know the whole story.
Can I also say, I want to add in for Rachel. Let's just speak for you for a second. Rachel doesn't sleep. Literally, I mean, I joked about today, but my kid sleeps. My kid sleeps from 10 p.m. to, I wake her up at 7:30. My kid sleeps now. Give me a lot of wood, by the way, just to knock on. Rachel Flanagan does not sleep. Celie does not sleep. We joke about blow darts taking her down. And they don't take her down. No, they don't take her down. So
And
Rachel
that-
really doesn't sleep. And I can tell you that, and I keep using the word fundamentally, it changes you as a person. When you do not get sleep, you're a bitch. And you're not a bitch. I want you to know I don't mean you're a bitch.
Serious.
You
I
are a
can't
bitch
even
though,
be
not you,
kind.
but you're a bitch. You are tired and you're hungry and you're tired and you're grumpy and your whole world is shifting. So
Listen,
I
when
love
you
you
don't
so
know if
much.
it's Tuesday morning or Thursday night because your day never ended, you might still be in 3 days ago, bra. You don't know when you brushed your teeth last. It's not a normal way to live.
I made a comment on somebody's post today about your inner voice. And I was like, your inner voice is a she's mean and she's judgmental. Like nobody's
I
ever
would
gonna
never
judge
be
us.
friends with the things that I've said to myself.
Yeah, nobody's ever gonna probably judge us more than we do it to ourselves. And sometimes you need to tell that just shut up and mind your business.
I am not kidding. I almost died. The struggle that was in me just got a little darker and a little deeper each day. I feel grateful to be here on Tuesday, the 15th of February, 2022. I feel
Yeah.
grateful to each of you for helping me yesterday. But it takes talking for me in my mental health journey. It takes the accountability of talking about it on the last day to the people who you know you would never leave and hurt in this way, which happened yesterday. My point isn't about my yesterday as much as it is that I wouldn't have been friends with the person that's in my head. I would not put up with
She would have yelled at any of us if we said any of that to ourselves.
If
Yeah.
you said that to yourself and I heard you, I would come for you.
Does yell at us.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Jen Dunn. I think
Stop
you're
it.
Jen,
Be
Don't
kind to
talk
my
about
friend.
my friend that way.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't talk about my friend that way.
But here I am
Well, and it's such
crying
a
every
personal,
time I guess it's called night when it's dark.
yeah. Well, and it's like it's easy to not talk about it. I mean, for me personally,
Mhm.
it's easier for me to cram that deep down inside and not voice the things that are so painful and so hurtful and the thoughts I have about myself and all of that.
That are
It is
wrong.
hard, and I love you so much for doing it, to say that out loud. I mean,
But
it
then
really
today, the internet, I wrote about it on Flanetville. I wrote privately about it on Jen's group yesterday because I just needed more accountability. I just knew that if those 58 people knew that there'd be 58 people I'd be letting down. And I made it through last night. Well, I made it through well. Today I wrote about it on Flanetville. Now there's like 100 comments. That's total bull. There's not 100 comments. I'd love there to be 100 comments, but there are like 38 comments of people talking to me about how brave I am. I don't need that either. I need you to hear me. I need you to hear that your sister-in-law is struggling as deep and as dark as I was yesterday, right now. Like, you can't let friends slip away. I didn't make eye contact with anybody for the last several months. I only hung out with people at Celie's birthday party that were going to look at her, not me. I've avoided contact with people for the fear that they could see deep inside of me and understand that I shouldn't be here either.
well, and what I meant by easy is
So I want,
that when you open the door, then you have people wanting you to take action.
yeah.
When the door is closed, it's not easy to be in that space of the mental place that you are. But it doesn't create a urgency of action or
Yeah.
taking any steps further or having to do anything else except for feel shitty about yourself
Yeah.
or whatever the situation is. That's what I meant by easy.
Where when I
and-
told my dad, now I have 2 therapist appointments, a prescription change, the whole
Exactly.
f***ing internet
Things are
is
moving.
looking. Yeah.
Things are moving, and shaking. And sometimes you're debilitated by the fact that you feel so crappy that you can't even try and make those steps. And you guys know that suicide is very close to my family and my
Right.
personal experience. And people don't think that it can be that close to you or
Right.
how you're feeling or that it gets that close to the line. You know what I mean?
I
That-
was live Sunday with my daughter smiling
Yeah.
for the internet.
Yeah.
I was going through the motions.
Yeah.
I was going
Yeah.
through the motions and I was successful. I swindled your dumb ass. No pressure. You don't need to carry my mental health, but I did. You learn to fake it. Mental health makes you learn. Battle with
Yep.
mental health makes you learn to fake it. And
I mean,
what a shame that is.
I've written about that where like depression isn't what people think it is at all. You could be sitting right next to somebody and you wouldn't know unless they
Mhm.
want you to know, you wouldn't
Mhm.
know
Mhm.
because that it's not necessarily like people are just crying nonstop and being sad. Like when I go through my darkest depression, I'm not even sad. I'm nothing. I literally am nothing.
Numb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Numb.
Yeah.
I don't feel,
No.
and I have to
yes,
force myself
yes, no.
do everything from getting up to you doing I'm gonna go through the motions. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna, that's just
Oh,
who
you
I am
stop
fundamentally
showering, you
as a
stop
person.
brushing your hair, all the extra incident. Sorry, Jen.
Mhm.
Oh, look how disgusted.
I even no, mine cranks up, but that's just it's just me, right?
In my
Jen's the
struggle, it's
opposite.
like, I don't know what day it is. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going out. I'm not doing anything. Like, it just, I would say mental health struggle paired with the isolation of special needs life is a
Yeah.
miserable goddamn formula. It really is.
That's what I was gonna say. Here are people putting you on a pedestal and saying how they don't know how you can do it, and you're this super mom. And going back to what Tabitha was saying, I think this life just causes a lot of guilt. It causes a lot of insecurities, feelings of inadequacy. Like I can't tell you how many times I think like my daughter's older. You know what I'm saying? So now like time, it feels like it's slipping away. Where I'm like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that diet. I should have taken her hand. Why didn't I get her this kind of therapy? Like, this could have made a difference. Like she, because then you see somebody who's like autistic that was nonverbal and now they're verbal. And I'm like, what didn't I do? Did I not do something for my daughter? And it's just your crazy mom brain. You know what I
I
mean? It's
have to say,
nothing-
one of
I
the
know
golden parts about our journey, Kimmy, just to set your mind at ease a skosh, is that all parents f up their kids. It's a generational truth. It's
Here's
a
a
fact of
little
the matter.
gem.
And at
Well,
least,
and I think there's a
at least
difference
our kids
between
know
messing them
therapists.
up and
A
not
little tip for you from Rachel
Not like-
Flanagan.
not like adequately helping
all-
them, which
Yeah.
intellectually I know that it's most likely not true. B, there's nothing I can do about it, even if it is true. I can't create therapies in technology that didn't exist
yeah,
when she was 5 years old. You know what I mean? I like
Shame on
intellectually
you,
I know
Kim.
that, but like I'm just saying, there's just those parts of you that just doubt yourself and just. Of course, I have that with my other children, but it's a very different level when it comes to her. And my next thing being is like I really feel like parenting a person, a child with a disability, it really just triggers some mental health struggles for me. Okay, so I had anxiety before I had my daughter, but it was a different level after I had her.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming my depression on my daughter, but this life makes the depression harder to work through because of all the feelings, all the self-doubt, all the guilt that you face. And it's just f***ing hard. It's overwhelming. It doesn't stop.
Mhm.
And when you're in the heart and when you're in the thick of it, like, and Rachel, I know like you are with Celie, I'm not anymore, but like I can just have a bad day and it brings me back so fast, I really feel like there's just like a mental health component to mothering special needs. It's just there's a financial burden, there's just the isolation,
Mhm.
and like Tabitha said, the feelings of insecurity, and you're responsible for this person, and it's like you don't always know do you do this? Do you do ABA? Do you not do ABA? Do you do speech therapy? Do you do it 5 times a week? Do
Right.
you
It's
take
not a
out-
matter of a dance
where
studio
does
or a
the money
different
come
dance studio.
from?
It's like big.
What are you doing? What's happening with the other kids? They're growing up in waiting rooms. Like there's so much to it, and it's hard to know the right thing to do. And I just feel like that pressure is just constant. And I do think it really does affect your mental health. I don't know how you guys
I
feel.
think that hypervigilance takes a certain, like it's taxing. Hypervigilance is necessary with all of our children, whether in a hard day or not, to make sure that they're going to be safe, to make sure that they are safe in the very present moment, to make sure that there's no potential struggle moving forward, whether that's like environmental or whatever. Hypervigilance is taking energy from the buckets that I use to take care of myself, to keep like I can only, there's only so much give. So yes, I understand that whole oxygen, air tank, care for your kid, but I just proved that's anyway. My daughter was cared for Sunday. Well, she was at respite, which was another problem. I'll tell you just out loud. Calm time has been gifted to our family by way of the children's mental health caseworker. We have respite twice a month. It's like a very fragile time, because when you get the chance to sit down after you haven't, after the hypervigilance, after the no sleep, after the whatever, that in your head starts judging louder. Like when life is quiet, it is a brutal space. Like I would rather have all the dang jobs. At least then I'm still doing them, because I'd never not show up for Celie, but I'll quit showing up for me. I just think that hypervigilance, Kim, really kicks into that formula you're talking about.
Well, and then when you add in, like Jen had said earlier, when you add in the no sleep on top of it, like, I mean, there's nothing that can trigger anxiety the way not sleeping can. I mean, it just can just mess you up so bad, and then you're irritable, you don't have patience, then you're guilty. Like
About
I
that.
feel guilty about having depression, like
It's
I
just
have
irrational.
I have
You feel
a
guilty about
good
that.
marriage. I have, 4 healthy children. Granted, Alyssa does have a disability, but she's healthy. I have 3 typical children that I've gotten to parent. Like I have, a lot in my life that I shouldn't be depressed. And it doesn't work that way. I know that, but I'm just saying that then you just feel like, like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Bad
Like,
about
what are you depressed about? But it's like, for me personally, I
Oh,
don't
that
get
question. I
depressed
wish I
about a
could
thing.
cut that question out
Yeah,
of life.
I don't get
What are you
depressed. Well, I
depressed
know.
about?
Even though I
It's
say it to
actually
myself,
clinical. disorder.
Nobody
Well, I thought
ever
about that
asked
today. I'm
that.
like, I have a
Again,
roof over my head. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we have food, I have a good job, I've got, my kid is healthy, you know, outside of all of what happens, but. And it's not that, you know, it's like you go down this kind of rabbit hole of it, and it's
Yeah.
not like you're feeling sorry for yourself, but it's like, and please, typical parents, I don't mean that, but I often have to, I really struggle with seeing someone post on Instagram like, "Oh, gosh, she just doesn't stop." You know, it just something so typical. And I get this emotion of, you have no idea how lucky you are. This kind of anger kind of comes about me, and I've not always handled it well. I know, imagine that. But this sort of jealousy just kind of flows through my blood. Like, seriously, your
Road
kid
trips are
has
that to me.
your
Yeah.
kid has the whole world ahead of her at her fingertips. My kid can't cross the road. Let's back it up a little. And then it's like, well, it's not about what mine versus
Yeah.
yours, you know? And I have to remind myself of that all the time, because I struggle
Well-
with it really hard.
And I
know?
really felt like I really understand those feelings, but then now I have two typical daughters, right? So then it's
Yeah.
like, I know what a gift that is because of it. And still, I can't stand them. I complain about them. Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard. And then, you know, people are
I wish
saying,
that's
"I
all
don't
I
know
had
how
to
you-
worry about.
I
you
don't know
know?
how you do it. You're a super mom." And you're like, no, I'm really
Hit
not.
you in the
Like,
face.
you know,
No, I'm a struggle bus and I want to hit you.
and I feel like what could happen too is for me, you know, everybody is different, but when you're internalizing all this stuff and when you're going through this hard, it kind of makes you miserable. I mean, it turns me into a bitchy person sometimes. I sometimes won't be the nicest person. You know, I could be judgmental, negative. And I don't even mean it. It's just that everything is so much that it just has to come out somewhere.
I usually
Um,
mean it, but it does
And
come
I
out.
well, and then it's like I always complain about other people that are negative. It's like I could be the same way. So it's like I think that aspect is really hard. I don't think people really know all the things that we go through, you know, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And it's not that I even mean it. It's just I just get so irritated and so annoyed quickly at like trivial things because I feel like we're carrying so much weight on us.
I have
That's
a friend
real.
that has, sorry,
much
Kimmy, she
real
has 4
heavy.
children. Not dig at you. I just want to be clear. Not dig at you when I say the 4 kids. But she actually said to me, well, this isn't a competition. I have 4 children. And I was like, mm-hmm. And your 4 kids are typical, and your 2-year-old knows not to run in front of the traffic. And your 4 kids are going to grow up and they're going to go to college and you're going to have a prom and they're going to have this typical, I mean, and this all runs through my head in a 5-second rate, you know, block of, yeah, you've got this hard in this chunk. And I know it sounds like I'm minimizing it, and I'm really not. I'm just saying that the difference in the hard makes me bitter.
Yeah.
which is
It-
part of what we're talking about. Is like our experiences create feelings that we can't control sometimes. You can't control all of the feelings that are taking up space in your life, period. You can't. And the idea that we can be everything to everyone all the time and not have feelings about it and not being bitter and not being sad and not being
Exactly.
potentially to our husbands or other people living in our home is
Other adults.
is it unrealistic. It's unrealistic. So we should love who we are today. Quit trying to be somebody you are not.
Yeah.
I will tell
And
myself that.
Talk about like how we're just
Give
like
that
my
a
problem is
test.
I bottle it all up and then I explode. Like that's just how I
Mhm.
do it. And it's all
Mhm.
and everything I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And then I'll explode usually on my husband.
Until you
anyway.
purge it out 3 months later and you're like, oh,
And,
that
and
did
I
bother
really
me.
shut down. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys probably noticed, like, I just shut down sometimes and I don't really talk to anyone and I'm just upset. Like, the holidays were a lot like that for me this year. But, like, knowing that I can talk to you guys or talk to other people and not doing that, like, letting people know and relating to other people. And I feel like being real, surrounding myself with women like you that are real and that are also struggling and are honest about it and not just looking at like if there's someone on social media who looks like they're living the perfect life to you and makes you feel crap about yourself, don't follow them. Don't,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
you have control over that. If there's someone in your life that is always putting like this perfect ideal out there and making you feel bad about yourself to build themselves up, like cut that person out of your life. Like,
Listen, if you want to
I
see a
also-
show, I am your girl. We are your women. Okay. We keep this shit
Follow
real.
us.
and
And
that's
it's
how
like,
you
follow
find
us.
the love for yourself. It's like, don't try to match these ideas, like whether you're a parent of a disabled child or not.
It's not even like necessarily just the Pinterest moms. It's like now you see all these other moms with special needs children, and you're like, how are they doing these photo shoots? How are they doing? They're able to do all this stuff, and like,
Oh, look,
you
their
know,
kid has clothes on.
and of course, people are only showing a portion on. You know what I mean? They could
It's a
be,
glimpse.
you know, the kids could be losing their minds 2 seconds after that picture was taken. I mean, I've been there. You know what I mean? It's like, but I think that's hard sometimes too, because then it's like it does just make you just feel a little bit more inadequate sometimes. And I feel like it's especially when you're already kind of having those feelings already. And it could be another time that it wouldn't phase me. Like my kid's cuter. I don't know.
I built this sarcastic humorous filter into my
Oh,
life
yeah.
sometimes to protect myself. So I'll
Yes.
say like, oh, that lady's shirt is so cute in her clean car with her typical kid sitting behind her safe in a vehicle. She's got to be a real trashy cook. And she's probably got, I mean, I just built some bullshit in. I just built, you know, like when you see a person smiling, that's like arm candy, sexy couple. And then I just imagine that that's his cousin. They can't possibly be two sexy people arm in arm. That's just genetics. That's their
Oh.
cousins. They're just arm in, they're
It's
just Italian.
genetics.
They're just cousins. I just lie. I lie to myself. Clearly it worked so well that I was suicidal 2 days ago. I just want to let you know, I don't always suggest
We
my
love you,
systems,
Rachel.
but
Yes, we do love you. We're just saying, be kind to yourself.
and
Oh,
love
my-
your real you.
Be
remember
the
now.
love your real self.
And
And
people can only help you with what you're presenting. You guys
Mhm.
would have done anything to help me if I had actually told you what I was going through. We could have started my therapy 3 weeks ago if I had gotten real with my damn self and shown you guys. But if you're not showing people, nobody will help you. You don't get a lifeline if you don't look like you're drowning. If you don't holler out like, oh, my legs are getting tired, I can no longer withstand this, drowning scene scenario.
And what I wanted
Look
to
at some
say
help.
too, as much as we could be miserable and and negative, we also are very empathetic people. And I think living this life also grows that in people that maybe I kind of naturally have that and I've always been that way, but I think that it develops more because you
Mhm.
really can understand. So if there's somebody struggling, if there's somebody who, needs a helping hand, we are the first ones to be there to grab that hand. We are the first ones to be there to listen, to help in any way that we can. I think that's just another really big part of it, helping moms that are just coming into it. And this is part of the reason that we do this podcast because
Help, yeah.
we know the feelings, we know how big they are, we know how heavy they are, and you never know what our episodes are. Funny episodes turn serious, our serious ones turn funny. Sometimes they just take a life of their own, but we really do understand and want to help.
And if
I
you
think
want to
that's-
help people in your life at home and you don't have a podcast and you're not a blogger, just start sharing your truth, your real true self. It will help women around you. You'll inspire people. My strength has made other people strong.
And sometimes in the natural experience, we're just
Yes, it has. been.
trying the best we can. We're trying the
Mhm.
best we can, and sometimes we are not perfect. We're not
And
perfect.
I think it's hard sometimes to show those chips in your armor. Like I know that's hard for me, because you build this
I don't know anything about
perseverance, you
that.
build this strength, and when those chips start to show, it's like you're afraid you're gonna crumble. So it's like
Yeah.
that's why sometimes I feel like we as special needs moms in general, wives, women, try to keep that armor up because we know once it starts chipping and once we lose the grip,
Yeah.
once it's out of our control, we can't do that. We got to get up and take care of the kids, and you got to do all the things you got to do. And, it makes it, like Tabitha said, unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that
Okay.
uplifting moment,
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, next
Thanks
is
for listening.
storytellers, and it's great. It is great.
Siblings, yes.
Sibling love.
Storytellers.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yep.
Check us next week, people. We'll be here.
Happy Monday.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us at the table for episode 3 of our 9th series, All the Love. If you are enjoying the podcast and listening on Apple Podcast, we would appreciate if you could rate and review us. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can email us at tablefor5podcast@gmail.com. New episodes every Monday. Join us next week for more. Bye.